There seems to be an awful lot of sad stories in the news today, and there are thousands missing. Does anybody care? We built a channel where we talk about those faces. Talking News with Debbie. Cassie Barnes has still not been found, and it's been 2 years since her case first hit the spotlight. Breaking. Chattanooga and Miami Valley both behind bars. Sarah Galloway was found. She wasn't found alive. What happened to Sarah Galloway?
It's too heartbreaking to share.
Children are still missing. Children like Dorsey. You're in shame. You just got away with it. Welcome to Talking News. Hello everyone. My name is Debbie. We use big stories to push little faces.
Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murder Talking News. Before we get started, would you please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and also hit the like button. Don't forget to comment as well, guys. Help us out. So, we're back on the Lori Vallow case. And you know, for a lot of my documents, I've kept up with a reporter by the name of Justin Lum. He's good about keeping us updated on some of the latest things going on with this Lori Vallow case. And one of the things is we are waiting to see if Lori will become competent so that she can face the charges that have been placed on her. So we continue to wait on progress reports and evaluations, but I have a feeling this may go on for a while. So who is Lori Vallow? For those of you not familiar with her, you might want to check out our older videos, particularly Life Beyond the Grave series, maybe even Connecting the Dots. It's old, but it'll give you a basic idea. So Lori Vallow, she's known as the Doomsday Mom. But where she comes from, that's a little bit more confusing. So we'll just go with more famously, she's from Rexburg, Idaho, recently anyways. Lori seems to be dodging justice for the families involved with this case. And when murder charges finally come, well, we're finding out that Lori Vallow is now incompetent to face up to the trial and the horrendous charges against her. So Lori was ordered to undergo psychological evaluation, and the court records filed Thursday revealed that she was not found to be competent to face trial. The licensed psychologist who conducted the evaluation has recommended that the 47-year-old mother undergo more treatment. And what we're hearing is they're seeking to be able to force feed her medications in order to treat her. So we don't know how that will go. She's facing murder charges, 4 conspiracy to commit murder charges, and 2 of those being her own children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. So many of you are concerned. And will she be competent? What does this mean? And how long can Lori milk incompetence? I decided to look up a few, well, it's quick research. It's basically, I'm going to share some articles that I found online about a few other people who were also deemed incompetent. So, in South Florida, a woman by the name of Tina Farrington, 31 years old, was found incompetent to stand trial not that long ago after her daughter's body was found in a dumpster. This dumpster was actually found just outside of their apartment in southwest Miami. According to the arrest report, Tina Farrington was at home with her 2 children on Halloween when she became upset because Tanya backtalked her. The mother later admitted that she lured her daughter and son into the bedroom, where she then proceeded to use a pillow to suffocate her daughter as punishment. Afterwards, she told authorities after she was arrested that she placed her daughter's body in the trunk of her car, which is a 2013 Nissan Altima, for several days until it started to have a stench. At that point, that foul odor actually led her to take her child out the trunk of the car on November 5th or 6th and place it into a dumpster near her apartment. So how did they find this? Luckily, a neighbor that lived in those apartments was taking the garbage out one day. And I think I forgot to mention, so this would be around November 5th of 2017, where this neighbor finds this tiny little vessel wrapped in a blanket, and he proceeded to call 911. Police come out to the scene, and they are able to later identify the child as this woman's daughter. After she was arrested, the son, which was a toddler, was handed over to family members or relatives of Miss Farrington. So that's shocking, because usually abuse is something you pass down in most cases. Now, what's interesting about this, and I'm going to cut this really short because this isn't about them, really. It's about incompetence. How many trials and how many people are going through this. The father of these children, he's an officer. And he has recently, right before this happened, had a restraining order placed against him. And he's accused of abusing their children. And a year before this, a spokeswoman said that Tanya had been involved in, another child protective investigation. And, but that did not involve her mother. So that's interesting. Was this the father? So here's the problem. The children were not in the custody with the father because of this restraining order. And when the daughter was, an autopsy was performed, they found cuts and bruises on this child. So she had been abused, most likely by the mother. And it makes you wonder, was she doing this to her children and then blaming it on the father? The father tried to get custody of the one surviving child, which is his son. They go to court, and the judge doesn't allow it. So I found it was very interesting that the judge let the boy remain with the child's grandmother, which is the mother of the woman who took the life of her own daughter. And, I've been leery about that since, like I said, abuse usually, it falls from the tree. So right now, here we are, we're in 2021, and she is still considered incompetent. Okay, so the second case. So this story come from Tampa Bay Times. A 54-year-old woman with a history of mental illness was found incompetent to stand trial on the charges that she shot and killed two neighbors. Linda Sue Anderson of Port Orange could have received the death penalty at trial. She was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the April 6th shooting, and the deaths of Robert, who was 70, and his wife Shirley, 69 years old. So here's the update. They were talking about releasing her 7 years after these shootings. When they release her, it would be to a assisted living facility, which is not high security, guys. Now, the Florida State Hospital, which cares for Anderson, or did care for Anderson, has released 511 people who have been charged with crimes but not found guilty because of mental illness. 15 of those persons were readmitted for new violent crimes, and 135 were readmitted for a variety of reasons, including failure to meet conditions of release. So this is another possibility for, not exactly this scenario per se, for Lori to have a chance of never being competent. So the next story. So this woman looking at her, walking by her on the street, you're going to think that she can hardly raise her arm quickly, much less be able to bludgeon her neighbor to death. She is a whopping 72 years old, and she was arrested and charged with assault after a Manchester police say that she struck a 73-year-old neighbor in the head with a hammer, actually taking the life of that person. So as far as we know, she is still considered incompetent. In Ohio, Deerfield Township, according to Fox 19, a woman is accused of stabbing a 3-year-old boy. She was found actually incompetent to stand trial. I will not attempt to say this name because I know for sure. So, this person, according to court documents, actually used a ceramic knife to stab the boy as he walked his older sibling to the bus stop. But stabbing this child once wasn't enough. They stabbed the child 9 times and in the back of his jacket, with 3 of the strikes breaking his skin, according to prosecutors. So they ended up trying to deal with the competence with this one as well, and that this one needed psychiatric care, which obviously so. So the next one is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Nevada never fails to disappoint, do they, when it comes to crime and strange stories. A Clark County judge had found a woman accused of killing her husband in 2005 and former college professor 5 years ago as incompetent to stand trial. Rita, Collin, 46, was ordered to be held in a state-run maximum security psychiatric facility until doctors determined she was fit to stand trial. So Rita fled to Peru after the death of the former University of Nevada, Las Vegas professor Leroy Pelton, 77. And so they find this guy in his Henderson home, which was very strange that nobody caught on to this a month after he passed away. So transcripts that were obtained by the Las Vegas Review, they show that he had been stabbed repeatedly in the abdomen and neck. Why did Rita do this? Well, to gain access to more than $1 million in Pelton's retirement fund before suddenly moving to Peru. She had planned to move to Peru with her young daughter and her mother after taking this guy's money. Now, Edwin Collin died in 2005 of a stab wound to the neck, and it was ruled a suicide. Oh my gosh, that's pathetic to think that they would take a stab to the neck as a suicide. That easy anyways. Turns out they started taking a double glance at Rita and suspecting that she had something to do with that death as well. And she was charged. Now, just recently, I hear that she's still considered incompetent. So this is crazy. Okay, this one is coming out of St. Louis County, and a judge ruled that a West St. Louis County woman has been committed to a mental hospital for 2 years, is permanently, if I can speak, guys, incompetent. So she's incompetent to stand trial on charges of attacking 3 children. So Circuit Judge John N. Barbados III approved findings by the State Department of Mental Health that there's no substantial probability, warning, I'm about to butcher this name, that Saida Sajudin, 37, will be mentally fit to proceed to trial on charges of first-degree assault, as well as the child endangerment and armed criminal action. So a judge suspends this woman's criminal case pending probate court proceedings to determine if she will be deemed incapacitated and appointed a guardian. So what did this woman do? So January 9th, 2019, she tried to give sleeping pills to her 9-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son before stabbing the boy. And she did this in the family home in the 1300 block of Wickstead Road near Queenie Park in the what they call an unincorporated part of the county. Guys, I'm tired, can you tell? Authorities say that she actually tried to smother her 2-year-old son with a blanket. Guys, isn't this concerning to see how many? I mean, this is just not even, it's not even touching the stories that are out there. I haven't even put a nick into the stories. So one of the most concerning ones is Katherine Hoggle. She's accused of murdering her 2 young children, Jacob and Sarah, who have been missing since 2014. So this article was updated February 28th of 2020. It's coming out of Rockville, Maryland. So Judge Robert Greenberg denied the motion Thursday to dismiss murder charges against a Maryland woman who is accused of murdering 2 of her 3 children in 2014. According to court documents, the motion to dismiss was filed February 18th by Katherine Hoggle's defense attorney, David Felsen. And this happened after this woman was repeatedly found incompetent to stand trial. The defense attorney said or argued that the 5-year legal clock had run out and that the murder charges against her must be dropped according to the state law. The prosecution's own independent expert said that Hoggle is so mentally ill that for the first time she is being described as not restorable. That's according to court documents. But the state's attorney John McCarthy argued that there are still 2 years on the clock because the charges weren't upgraded to a more serious felony murder until leads were exhausted in 2017. Thankfully, the judge denied the motion to dismiss, but maintained that Hoggle was incompetent to stand trial, and that's according to court documents as well. So this one's similar to the Lori Vallow case, but different states, so different rules. So remember, she was this Hoggle woman was initially arrested and charged with misdemeanors and the disappearance of her children. But thankfully, so in July 2019, a Maryland judge granted the prosecution motion for a new psychiatrist to access whether or not Hoggle was competent to stand trial. So it seems that this has been a major problem, dealing with this. She was first found incompetent in 2015 after being charged and jailed for the child abduction, according to court records. Following their disappearance, she faced a misdemeanor charges, but under the state law, a person can only be held for 3 years. And I thought they said it was 5 years for murder earlier. So we're dealing with a lot of different states. We're dealing with Arizona for Lori Vallow. We're dealing with Idaho. While Maryland laws require felony charges to be dropped if someone is incompetent 5 years after being charged with a felony. It's scary to think that a woman like this may even become free at one point. I wanted to share this interesting story with you. So in Idaho, people charged with a crime cannot plead not guilty by reason of insanity. We've learned that through this case. Idaho legislature removed that option in the 1980s. Idaho is one of the 4 states without the insanity defense. But we did learn that a judge can still find a person incompetent to stand trial, which we know Lori Vallow has been deemed so. Which means they are so unaware of their surroundings that they are unable to assist with their own defense in any meaningful way. So a great article gives us an idea of how that happens. So a judge will order that this person be treated or committed. Initially, it's for 90 days. Lori Vallow is then reevaluated, and if the judge feels that they are still incompetent, the judge can commit them for another 180 days. Idaho state psychiatric hospitals routinely recommend that criminal defendants they be restored to competency and be tried in court as quickly as possible before their mental state deteriorates again, so they don't want to have to go through this process again and they can no longer stand trial. Legally, anyways, we don't want them to get around, or use a mistake to get free, right? So once they get the treatment, a lot of times with medication, a person is restored to competency and then they're sent back to jail and will appear in court to face the charges against them. Here's one example that did happen in Idaho. Ruben Diaz, 38 years old, who was accused of stabbing a 76-year-old man in southeast Boise. He was actually charged with 1 count of aggravated battery, and but get this, guys, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and autism and was initially found unfit for trial. He's deemed incompetent. He gets treatment, and the doctors say, go ahead, set up the date quick as possible while he's competent. We don't want him to lose competency, become incompetent, and then have to go back into the mental hospital. So, according to this article, they deal with this kind of stuff all the time. So, people become incompetent. Then the doctors say or tell the judge, they're competent at this period. Go ahead and schedule a court date immediately, as fast as you can, so that you can go ahead and continue with the charges. So this is something that we're seeing with Lori Vallow already. So she's been deemed incompetent. She's gone in. She's had her 90 days, and now she's still considered incompetent, and now they're talking about putting her on medication treatment. But we knew Lori would not easily volunteer for the medication treatment, because if she had, most likely she wouldn't have been in the situation she's in now, because she doesn't believe in medications, and this has a lot to do with her religion. Not all Mormons believe in not taking medications, but some do. Because Lori is making it difficult to do medicine treatment, they're trying to instate a forced medication treatment. And I read that they do have a criteria where involuntary medication treatment, it's accepted for those that they consider medically sick, okay, that are not able to make the right decisions for themselves. They do seek this kind of treatment for them. According to a few people, like Bonneville County Prosecutor Dan Clark, who has nothing to do with the Daybell case, has seen similar situations play out over his 20 plus years of prosecuting crimes. So East Idaho News had this article. He says, quote, it's a very well-educated opinion on her competency, but ultimately the determination of competency is a judicial ruling made by a judge. And that has not occurred as of yet. Competency is a very specific thing. It does not mean there isn't a mental illness. It doesn't mean they don't suffer from certain things. It means simply comprehending or understanding proceedings against them, end quote. For those of us that have been following this case since the very beginning, we have seen the video where Lori's in a police station and she's talking with police and she's playing dumb. A lot of people believe that this is an act, that this is truly how she is. While not, I will say that Lori does seem to be quite naive. She's a quick learner, and once she learns, she retains that stuff. That's my opinion, based on what's available. But when she was inside that cop station, and they're talking about having to have her evaluated back then because of Charles was actually putting in that order, She asked the cop, she goes, how do you even do that? Well, she knows. She's just saying she doesn't. She is well aware of loopholes. But the thing is, when they did finally, supposedly, she went for that evaluation, she didn't even stay 24 hours. That was what was the most concerning. So, did she go, or did that psychiatrist get bamboozled pretty good? I really don't know who evaluated her, whether it was a psychologist. I have no idea, but whoever it was definitely was taken by Lori. So does she really believe in everything that she's doing? Well, that's what's confusing. She does talk about Jesus constantly, which leads me to believe she does believe in her religion. But also, I think she does know that there's some things that can be manipulated. Learning her truth is nearly impossible. I mean, she fooled her own children, her husband, and my gosh, her own family. So how in the world are they going to determine the real side of Lori? It's going to be a tough job. Interesting to watch as well. I am not a psychiatrist, but I can tell you that I am familiar with people that manipulate. And based off of your experience or my experience, when we deal with people like that, we know that we can expect some things. That's just, common sense. So how long can this be milked? Well, I don't see it being milked that long because of the fact that she's not like this absolute deep, incompetent person. She will be able to understand those charges against her. She will understand everything. It's just a matter of when they decide she understands it. So, is there going to be another 180 days to wait? We'll see. So, as you can see, there's so many cases like this. People incompetent, some considered incompetent forever. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this short here because I've done so many videos just in the past 2 weeks. Share below what you think. I'm very interested to know what you guys think as far as Lori believing that what she did is something that's important or everything is made up. Also, do you believe that she will become competent in the near future? Alright guys, don't forget, we have girls missing. Jasmine Robinson, Kiara Coles, Dulce, Monkey. We have so many people missing, I can't even keep up with the stories. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you guys so much. Love you. See you soon.